ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। हरिः ओं श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओं। हरिः ओं। हरिः ओं. So we'll chant the Gita Dhyanam. The first few verses that we have done so far, we did till verse number 4. So we'll just chant those verses. Om Parthaya Pratibodhita Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Kratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrutavarshiniim Bhagavatim Ashtadashaadhyayiniim Amba Tvam Anusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshiniim Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pulladvindayatapatra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharatatailapurnaha Prajvalito Jnanamayah Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Geetamritaduhe Namaha Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsas Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Geetamritam Mahat. Okay, so we had seen till here, and this beautiful composition of Madhusudan Saraswati ji, who has eulogized this Bhagavad Gita, this beautiful text of 700 verses, and how each of the verses, each of the chapters, 18 chapters, are bringing out the nectar of the Upanishads. That is what he is portraying here through very many metaphors that he has used, right? So in the first verse, of course, there is the who is the one who is giving the knowledge, to whom is this knowledge coming, and what is this knowledge that is being spoken of here. And then it is said that, of course, this is the knowledge sourced from the Upanishads. Advaita Amruta Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim. So that nectarine wisdom which is encompassed in the Upanishads, that is being extracted and given as elaborated in these 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita. For whom? For the seeker who has come with the intention to not just listen, but listen, imbibe it, internalize it, and then implement it in the world, right? For himself, for his own progress, and through him bring about the transformation not just of himself but the world around him, right? So therefore he, very beautifully, he pays his obeisance to this Gita Maya, and he says, Amba Tvam Anusandadhami. I bow down to you, not just bow down to you, I beseech myself to you, surrender myself to you, to receive all that you are giving to me. And because I know, I have the faith, right, I have the Shraddha completely in you, knowing that you are the one who is going to pull me out of this bhava dvesha. You will be the one who will destroy all the bhava roga that has surrounded me. So, O Mata, take me forward. Now here in the next verse, of course, he has beautifully spoken of Vyasa Muniji, yeah, and without the stalwarts such as Ved Vyas ji, such as Shankaracharya ji, we would not have benefited from this knowledge ever. It was their love for not just the generations then, but for generations and generations to come, for the entire humanity. Not even one particular section of the society, not even one particular area or region or country, but it was for the universe itself that this knowledge was brought together, was compiled in this beautiful poetry of the Bhagavad Gita. It is as though he has chosen his words, throughout the very many chapters, throughout the 18 chapters, throughout the 700 verses. We can see the beauty of Ved Vyas ji, how he has beautifully portrayed the dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna, right? And so here he is being praised as that Vishala Buddhe Fullaravinda Yatapatra Neta, who had his form itself was that of a compassionate visionary. Not someone who was just scholarly, but someone who lived each and every moment of his life for the benefit of the of the entire Sanatana Dharma as well, right? So, yena tvaya bharata taila purnaha prajvalito jnanamaya pradeepah. So, he is the one, through this Mahabharata, through that knowledge which is encompassed in or embedded in that Mahabharata, he has kindled this Jnanamaya Pradeepaha. This lamp of knowledge he has lit within, right? And the next verse is paying obeisance or offering our gratitude to Lord Krishna, and it shows his his avataran that happened, his avatar that came about. It was for what? It was for teaching all of us, or it was not just to guide Arjuna, but through the nimitta of Arjuna, being his Sarthi, he is the one who has brought this knowledge to all of us, right? And therefore he is also said to be that teacher who is like that wish fulfilling tree of the Parijata. So here is the beautiful metaphor given here. Prapanna Parijataya. He is like that wish fulfilling Parijata tree, right? And though he seems very benevolent, but he also has this stick in hand. He's a cowherd boy and he has this stick in hand, as if to tell that, yes, sure, I will fulfill your verses, but only where I see that you are deserving of it, or that you are patra of it, so that in the holistic view of your evolution, that particular karma or that particular result that you are to be bestowed with fits in very well, right? Though you might not see it, but I see it, and therefore when I say it is good, right? It is not something you might think it is harsh, but it is not harsh, right? So abide by me, right? He seems to be saying that. And then we also spoke of the Jnana Mudra, right? Jnana Mudra. What is these three over there? The three is the three shariras, that is the body, mind and intellect, where what is it? There is the Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and there is the Karana Sharira. You might say it that way also. So this is what interacts with the Jagat, and here is this Jivatva, or here is that Chidabhasa, that reflection of consciousness which one is getting when being in touch with that universal consciousness, right? So this is that Jnana Mudra, right? So who is the one who is standing with this Jnana Mudra? It is Lord Krishna, and he is the one who is connecting us or enlivening us. In what way? Not just he is enlivening us, but he is showing us direction, that so that we purposefully use this instrument to lead to our merging or dissolution with him in the long run, right? So here he says, Jnana Mudraya Krishnaya Geetamruta Duhe Namaha. We bow down to that Krishna who is the bestower of this jnana, right? Who is the one who is going to kindle that jnana in order that we gain that nectarine wisdom of the Gita, right? And then we had also seen the next beautiful metaphor, which is that of the cows and the calf, right? So here what is the metaphor saying? Here the metaphor is saying you have the Upanishads, which are like the cows, and you Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopala Nandanaha. So here who is the one who is the milker of all these cows? So it is the one who knows them well, who has his hand well set, because the cows are not going to allow some stranger to come and milk them also, right? It is the one who has that, very loving hand, and the one who is very compassionate and loving, and who the cows are very familiar with, they will allow only him to milk them, right? And who but that cowherd boy, that blue boy of Vrindavan, to milk the cows. And who is the calf though? Because the cows will be triggered only when there is a calf. That Vatsa is there in order to bring out that Vatsalya. Okay. So when we are saying that, who is that Vatsa, that deserving Vatsa, or that deserving student is this Arjuna. So for this Arjuna, who has proved to be the deserving student. Now when we say deserving student, in what way? Was he very qualified, etc.? Yes, he was one who was qualified, but his best qualification or readiness was that he was not only willing to listen to his teacher, he had besieged himself, he had surrendered himself to Lord Krishna, and he had come with that urge, not only to know but also to implement that teaching that Bhagwan was going to give, right? And it is to such a calf, such a Vatsa, that Vatsalya was going to flow through, right? But then further who will benefit? So further he says, Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta. Sudhir Bhokta, those Sudhir over here means that those who are those worthy candidates. Who are those worthy candidates now? Those who are bestowed in that knowledge, in that eligibility. How? By having the buddhi so aligned to gain that knowledge. So therefore, now if we see this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, of course we know that it was given in the battlefield, and who were the ones who were speaking? There was Krishna and there was Arjuna. So who is the one who was gaining that knowledge? Who is the one who benefited or gained that knowledge? So you had first Arjuna himself, correct? And then you had, besides Arjuna, who were the others who were there? So you would say that there was Arjuna, then there was Dhritarashtra, who was listening to Sanjaya, right? So there was Sanjaya, right? And then you also had Ved Vyas ji, right, who was scribing, no? who was noting down, right? And also you had up on the flag, on the chariot, you had Hanumanji sitting over there, correct? So who was if you say, who among them is Sudhir? So one is that the Jnanis over there were already Ved Vyas ji as well as Hanumanji. They were just reveling in that dialogue which was happening, right? So for them to witness that dialogue was just the glory of the Lord itself. Then we see Arjuna. Arjuna was that qualified candidate, that adhikari, who was the one who questioned with the intent to receive the answers, not to himself provide some kind of commentary, but he was listening with the intent to implement that learning for his own transformation, right? So Arjuna was definitely the Sudhir, Sudihi, right? And then you had Sanjaya. So Sanjay, of course, one more point about Arjuna was that even later, when towards the end of the Bhagavad Gita, when Bhagwan asks him, he says to him, he confirms to Bhagwan that Nashto moha smritir labdhva, right? He has that his delusion has gone, that knowledge which he has received, it has met its purpose, O Bhagwan, right? And now I am ready. I am perfectly ready. So that was the kind of confirmation also that he gave. Whereas now if you look at Sanjay, he was listening. He was definitely listening, and he was also narrating what he was listening to Dhritarashtra. But was he saying that he was benefiting in any way? He was saying that, he was definitely reveling. He was in different places. He also says, muhur, again and again he feels like listening. He's got horripilations also, etc. But nowhere he said that he benefited from it. Okay, so he was not that student, but he was the one who is the wise listener from there. Okay, and then you had Dhritarashtra. Now Dhritarashtra was so blinded. Though he was listening, yet for him that knowledge was as though information only. Why? How can you say so? So if we see, even after the war was done, after the Mahabharata war concluded, when he met Bhima, what did he do? He as though wanted to crush him. But fortunately he had kept one idle over there. So here we understand that, even after he received that knowledge, he was not able to forgive. He was so blinded by his asakti, his attachment to his son, to his family, to his throne, that he was not willing to let go, even after listening to this entire Bhagavad Gita, right? So here we got to know that who is this Sudhir, right? So the one with a good intellect, which is ready to receive, who has that patrata, that is the person who is listening with complete focus and gaining that knowledge, right? So therefore here, and also Krishna had great love for Kunti herself, right? And her other name was Pritha, and here he is addressing Arjuna as who? Partha, right? This Partha, he is, by calling him the son of Pritha, he is also acknowledging her, paying his respects to Kunti herself also. So he says, Partho vatsa sudhir bhokta dugdham geetamrutam mahat. So it is his grace by which, it is his knowledgeable hands which is extracting that knowledge of the Upanishads and giving it to us, right? So though we are receiving, now we have to question ourselves, have we become that Sudhir, right? So sometimes we might to have many times one is, here someone asked whether, see, Hanumanji is already a jnani. So it is taken for granted that he is a jnani. So he is already Sudhir, right? So as I said, he is just reveling in that knowledge, right? Of course he is Sudhir. So is Ved Vyasji, and therefore they are there only to grace that place, right? And Sanjay, whereas also he has already gained that wisdom, and therefore he was given that Jnana Chakshu also, right? In order to narrate this Bhagavad Gita or narrate this whole incident to Dhritarashtra, what was happening on the field, that also, right? But here specifically, if we are trying to understand who is that, who are the ones who are going to gain the knowledge and benefit from that Sudhihi, that good intellect, that when we are speaking, then we are speaking of Arjuna. Okay, fine. So yes, so then now, so here he is not only extracting that knowledge, but so when we are talking of that Sudhi, I would say that two factors that we have to consider. That the one who has bowed down to this higher knowledge, which is going to come through the Gita, which was mentioned in the earlier verse as Ambatvam Anusandadhami. So he has besieged himself and he is ready and willing, fully focused to gain this knowledge. So that is the first factor, right? That he is not only going to listen to the knowledge, he is going to retain, he is going to dwell on it and also implement it, right? And then also throughout he is the one who is asking the questions, in order that in order that he is like that calf, that calf is not going to get the milk till he goes and suckles the mother, right? So here also it is that, through his questions he is going on asking that Mother Gita to provide him with that wisdom, right? So to, the second part is that prapanna, that surrendering to the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, to that wisdom of the Guru who is Lord Krishna over there. That is his qualification to be that Sudhi. Okay, so he was not taking it as some momentary gain, but a long-term transformation that he was looking for himself itself, right? He had understood what were the odds of him being in that war or fleeing from that war, but now he wanted the correct or the righteous answers, which he knew that Bhagwan Krishna could give for him. Okay, so now we'll go on to the 5th verse over here. So it says, right, Vasudevasutam devam kamsa chanuramardanam devaki paramanandam krishnam vande jagadgurum. So we had taken this verse also, but we'll just see some other finer points over here. So one is that, here the avatar part of Lord Krishna, it stands out, right? And how through his Leela, because the one who is unborn, the one who is Nitya, right? That Lord, he comes down, or rather he is born as the child of Vasudeva and Devaki, right? And what does he do through his birth? First thing that he has to do as he is growing up is to get rid of the animosity that his Kamsa mama is aiming at him, right? And the last battle that the wrestling tough wrestling that happens is with Chanu, right? So here when we are saying Kamsa Chanura Mardanam, he is the one who killed or destroyed that Kamsa and Chanu, right? And from that he brought delight to the people. right? The people of Mathura. So here there is not just, not just the Leela part of it, there is also some symbolic adhyatmic knowledge which comes out, right? Which even Gurudev has mentioned over there in the commentary over there, right? So first is that, who is this Krishna? If we see, this Krishna is like his name says, he is the one who is capturing. It's in Sanskrit it will be Karshayati iti Krishna, right? He is as though like a magnet, The moment you keep him somewhere, or you keep that magnet somewhere, whatever is that metallic, the magnet is going to attract that, right? So here too, when we see Krishna, the moment anyone thinks of Krishna only, his smile comes to mind. He is the one who captures everyone's hearts, right? Be it young or old, right? It is very evident how his charm works with everyone, right? And then when we see the here is of course his Leela part, but when we see the Adhyatmic part of it, right, then you will see that he is that Jagat Guru. He is the one who is bestower of that dharma, right? And in that, as part of that role only, he is also the one who is the Jagat Guru. He is the one who is teaching us to follow that path of dharma. He is our charioteer. He is the one who is the higher intellect, who is from time to time pushing us in the right direction, right? And when we say this, right, we have to remember that when we are thinking of a teacher, the teacher has to be such that the teacher takes into account, considers all kinds of students. There will be those who are, Uttama Adhikaris, those who listening once will get the knowledge just like that. Then those who are Madhyama, they are ones like, okay, they are mediocre. They might not follow the immediate talk, they might not follow, but they will go back to it, they will work on it, they will put in effort and they will be able to gain that knowledge slowly but surely. And then there are the Adhama. Adhama means it takes more than 2-3 listenings, because they are so distracted that just listening is not going to do. Even to sit down and take notes, it takes time. So they will also say, oh, someone else is taking, why not I take from them? Then the notes are there with me. But to read also it takes time. Maybe I can ask someone, if they can explain it to me. I can have a group discussion and then I can. So they might not, their thinking might not go to it, and therefore to get their thinking started, for that light bulb to glow, they will need some more pushing, right? And for this, we need to, for such, we are talking of us only. I am not saying of anyone else. What do we have to do? We have to put in repeated efforts. So someone has to push you into it. Someone has to say that, oh, you didn't think in this angle. Why don't we think of it in this angle? This is the question I have. Oh, this is also how we can think. Okay. So what is the thing? Like it is said, right? Even in the Subhashitas it is given, Padona, right? Quarter by quarter we have to gain that knowledge. Quarter you will get it in the classroom. Quarter you might get it from your fellow students. Padona. Then next is Padona Saha Brahmacharinaha, right? Then is another quarter. How will it come about? When as times go by, right? Life itself will bring it into your learning, and of course part of it, another quarter, your own intellection will bring it about, right? So when the teacher is there, but the teacher has to not think of only that, only that Uttama Adhikari, not the best of the students. The teacher has to think of everyone and he knows that for certain students certain triggers are there, for certain students some other triggers might be required. It might be, not just oral speech which will do, there might have to be some visual cues to be taken, right? There might has to be, some for the humor etc. to be brought, right? Some might require some practical tips to be put in, right? And therefore the Jagat Guru has to keep all this in mind for that knowledge to come to that student, right? So teaching is the same, but the method of giving will vary. So for each of the students, right? So for some he might say that, you have to do this little bit of seva. For some he will say you focusedly sit and study this alone, right? So for everyone there might be different kind of instructions he might give, right? So this teacher, this Jagat Guru, he is that Paramatma, right? Who is going to bestow that, he is going to bestow that Paramananda, not just momentary. He is not going to take away one small pain of yours and, give you momentary relief. No, he is aiming at complete, cure. So therefore, sometimes, he might inflict some pain on you, hurt on you, so that you come over it and don't go repeat that same pattern of living, right? So such is that teacher, that Krishna. Sometimes he will just remain quiet and you might not know that he is working also, he is there with you also, but he is fully there for your support. So here when we are saying from this Adhyatmic standpoint, you have this Vasudeva. Now this Vasudeva is symbolic of that pure consciousness. Okay. So, and who is that pure consciousness is who it is, that Vishnu Bhagwan, right? So that Sattva, pure Sattva is that Vasudeva. And then when this pure consciousness is prevalent, then there is complete clarity. But what is there which is keeping me away from this clarity is that there is this veiling of ignorance, or there is this jivatva, there is this ahamkara. Okay, who is this ahamkara? This is symbolized by this Kamsa. So what is that Kamsa doing? That Kamsa is going on revolving in that temporariness, in that limitedness alone, and not allowing me to see my true nature, that of being that pure consciousness. And who is Devaki then? Devaki is this Buddhi. Okay, so if we are saying Vasudev is that pure consciousness which is nothing but that knowledge, that knowledge by nature itself, right? Then Devaki is who? Devaki is that Buddhi, right? So till that Buddhi is not, coming into contact with that Krishna, what is going to happen? The knowledge is going to be kept away from her by this Jiva, by this Kamsa, right? So how will this knowledge dawn upon us, right? How will this knowledge take away this Kamsa? So what has to happen is that, when we are free from all kinds of delusions, right? In that moment of aloneness or silence, who is going to come? That Brahmakara Vritti, that knowledge thought is going to emerge by itself, which is that Krishna, or which will unite this Vasudeva and with Devaki, right? Because where is that thought going to arise? The thought is going to arise in this Devaki only, right? In that Buddhi alone, right? And for that Buddhi should be completely taken by that knowledge, right? She should be already educated, right, with that knowledge, right? And it is only when that thought arises by itself, then that Vasudeva and that Buddhi will unite, right? Or that knowledge will bring liberation for us, right? So this is, we need not look so deeply in this, right? But somewhere it will come about, and in that, we have taken up this thought of what is this Brahmakara Vritti also. This Brahmakara Vritti is nothing but that knowledge thought which tells us about our true nature as that Satchit Ananda. Okay, somewhere later it will come about as we are doing the later chapters that we will see later. So here the main point is, whom are we saluting here? We are saluting that Jagat Guru, the one who is bestowing that supreme knowledge on us, right, which is going to take away this Kamsa, who is going to destroy this Kamsa. Okay, so that, right. And then next metaphor is even very beautiful, which is telling us about this, about the opponent that the Pandavas are facing. The Pandavas are facing this huge army, right? And the Pandavas, as I said, was there 7 Akshonis, and Kauravas are 11 Akshonis, right? Now, but the best part of it, which is told in the last line, that we have to keep in mind at all times, okay? So, the Pandavas are facing this entire army, which is going to be described in the first 3 lines over there, right? But in the last line, what is it told? Sotirna khalu pandavai rananadi kaivartaka keshavaha. So, the Pandavas, they are supported by who? By that Kaivartakaha Keshavaha. That Keshava who is never going to leave their side. He is their helmsman. He is the one who is going to take them across. He is not going to allow them to be in any way, he is not going to allow them to be harmed, right? So that Kaivartaka Keshava, he is that inspiration for all of us. As long as we have him with us, we can cross over this ocean of samsara. But here that analogy which is given is that of a river. So he says, who is there in this? Who is the opponents with the Kauravas? So he says, Bhishma Drona Tata Jayadratha Jala Gandhara Nilotpala Shalya Grahavati Krupena Vahani Karnena Vela Kula Ashwathama Vikarna Ghora Makara Duryodhana Vartini Sodirna Khalu Pandavai Rananadi Kaivartaka Keshavaha. So here you have the 2 stalwarts, the great Bhishma and Drona. So if now both of them are as much part of the Pandavas as they are part of the Kauravas, right? But now that Duryodhana had played his campaign well, he had chosen his side of warriors, and in that he had Bhishma Pitama himself was enough to battle with the entire Pandavas. But now he was someone who was not only having the boon of choosing his own death, he was also a great devotee of Lord Krishna himself. And not just that, he had if you think that Arjuna was a great warrior, Bhishma Pitama was his own ancestor. He was the one who had played, means he had not just seen these Pandavas and Kauravas as kids. He had nurtured them, nourished them, advised them as they were growing up, and knew each one of them, right? And yet, now he had to, as was calling by his dharma, he had to be on the Kauravas side, because he had pledged that he will protect the throne of Hastinapur, right? So here he was And other part of it was also that on the ninth day, on the ninth day of the war, Duryodhana had approached Bhishma Pitama, and he was saying that, it seems like the battle is going very lull. I don't think you are actually fighting them as you should be fighting. I don't see the kind of prowess that you have. I don't think it visible so much. Why is that? So he tries to instigate him. And on the 10th day, you see actually that Bhishma is fully in form and fighting each and every member of the opponents. And so much so that by end of the day, the Pandavas go very helplessly to Krishna and they say, "Oh Bhagwan, this is not looking too good. What are we going to do?" Bhishma Pitama is being very tough right now. So how should we approach him? What can we do? So one thing, in the war, there were these rules which were laid out, where what would they do? So even when the sunset would come, both sides could visit their opponents. Because who were the opponents? They were their own friends, their own relatives. So Krishna took the Pandavas and he went to Bhishma Pitama. Now Bhishma was delighted, of course, to receive Krishna because he revered him a lot. And so he said, "Come, what can I do for you?" And then, Krishna says that, it seems like you are, the Pandavas are feeling it too tough. You are being too, suddenly you have changed yourself. How can they, or rather, Yudhishthira asked him, "What can we do? We need your guidance now. O Pitamaha, we need your guidance. How can we change our strategy?" So Bhishma Pita, being the Pitamaha of the Pandavas also, what does he say? He says, "Okay, do one thing. None of your warriors can come on heavy on me, but if you keep Shikhandi on the forefront, I won't be able to do anything. Because I have already vowed I will not fight against Shikhandi." So the next day, that is what they do. And then, next part you have to go and find out, right? So, but I will keep mentioning some incidences from the Mahabharata which will make it interesting also for us. So, thus it was, right, that having Krishna on their side alone, the Pandavas could see the right direction in which they could head, right, in order to gain a victory. So here it was Bhishma, Drona. Drona, on the other hand, he was their teacher. He had seen both Duryodhana as well as the Pandavas, the Kauravas as well as Pandavas. He had seen them, he had trained them, he had given them the entire skill set that was required to be on the battlefield, right? So he knew their weakness, he knew their skills as well, and he was himself a mighty warrior, right? So here he was, and he was facing the Pandavas, right? So being, now as per his dharma also, being on the side of the Kauravas, he had to fight the Pandavas fair and square, right? Then you also had, a warrior such as Jayadratha. So Jayadratha Jala, when it says that he is the one who is like the deep waters of that river. Like, at the sides, the water is simple. You can easily go and wade the waters. But when you come to a certain spot, there's immediately like a drop. It is like the waters are very strong. So here this Jayadratha, he was not only the brother-in-law of the Kauravas, but he was also a tough fighter at that. And he was the one who caused much damage also to the Pandavas, right? he was the one who led to the loss of Abhimanyu itself. So, he had been insulted earlier by the Pandavas, and when at that time, he decided to go on great tapas, and he propitiated Lord Shiva, and he said that I want to defeat the entire of the Pandavas. I want to see to it that I destroy all the Pandavas, all the 5 of them. And Bhagwan Shiva said, no, that is not going to be possible. But what I can do is, I can, on one particular day, I will allow you to kind of know what is their track. Or slow them, not just check their track, maybe you can then use your own skills to slow them down. Right? And that was the day when Abhimanyu tried to enter the Chakravyuh. And actually that Chakravyuh, if you see how it is, the Chakravyuh is such that it is like a spiral, right? And it is like a wall kind of a arrangement, and once you enter one, and if you have your set of people behind you, you will pave the way for them to come, and then you will also be able to you will have to do this in each circumference or each spiral over there, till you break each of the walls, have your side of people inside, and then space both sides of warriors equally, right? So it is not a very easy kind of arrangement to fight, and only few knew how to do it, including Krishna and Arjuna. Now Abhimanyu had heard of it when he was in his mother's womb. Okay, I know I am taking much of this, but it gets very good to go into the story part of it. But yeah, so Abhimanyu, he thought, till he has the right kind of backing, he will try to go in. Unfortunately for him, what happened was Jayadratha was able to fight him. Not only he was able to bring him to that area where he was, and unfortunately for Abhimanyu, at that time, Krishna and Arjuna, through some kind of trickery done by the Kauravas, they were engaged in a different side, right? And so he was not getting the right kind of backing, and he was killed. So that was how it happened. But when it came to it, who was the one who was all the time it could have been Arjuna also when it came to it, but because Krishna was there, the Pandavas were all the time gaining some support or the other, right? And then he says, that Gandhara Nilotpala is talking of who? Shakuni. That Shakuni was also a very cunning person to, fight with mentally. Maybe not as great a warrior, but yeah, he was also a good warrior, because he was having the kingdom of Gandhar and he was fighting from there. But he is said to be the one who caused much dismay for the Pandavas since their childhood, right? Not only he would be instigating Duryodhana and the other Kauravas to poison Bhima or do some kind of trickery. Later also there was the Lak Palace that he brought about. So like this was the chalaki, you might say, or the the kind of cunningness that Gandhara Naresh. Who was that Gandhara Naresh? It was Shakuni. So he resorted to that. Then there was Shalya Grahavati. So Shalya Grahavati over there, Grahavati meaning, the one who is like a shark, right? Very sharp. So that Shalya, he was actually on the side of the Pandavas. He was very much on the side of Pandavas, but because of, again, some kind of trickery done by Duryodhana, he had to go on the side of the Kauravas, right? And he was the charioteer of Karna. So now, though he didn't want to be the charioteer of Karna, he was a very good charioteer, by the way. He had his own strategy in terms of when to go into the war, when to break a particular arrangement, how to speed up, where to slow down, etc. So he was a good charioteer. But unfortunately for him, he was put with Karna and he was on the side of Kauravas. So even though he was playing his role, but mentally he was always thinking that he is on the side of the Pandavas, right? Because he wanted to be on the side of that which is righteous, which is that which is dharma. So what would he do? Even though he would go where he has to go, he would kind of pull these mental tricks on Karna. He would praise Arjuna. He would do something which will irritate Karna. When? Exactly at the moment when he is going to shoot his arrow. Exactly at the moment when he is going to come face to face with the enemy, he will do something which will, instigate that Karna. Like we see, and sometimes in the matches, etc. also. Someone will so that, the opponent loses direction. What will, sometimes the wicket keeper or someone will say something so that they put them off track. So this Shalya was doing that for Karna. So if you rate him in terms of a charioteer, he was not a good charioteer. Why? So here if we are seeing the symbolism, right? Who is our charioteer? Our buddhi. Our intellect is our charioteer, right? So if that buddhi is an educated one and wants our good, it will always direct us in the right path, right? Like who? Like Krishna. In the face of battle, he was always supporting in the right way, and he was supporting in the path towards dharma alone, right? At all times. He was never misdirecting Arjuna in any way, right? Whereas here is this Shalya, who is completely off track. So if we have a buddhi which is not giving us the right kind of direction, then what is going to happen? Our decisions might be right, but they are taking us to that which is not our goal. That is what will happen, right? So here he says, Shalya grahavati krupena vahani karnena velakula. Then there was also Krupacharya. Krupacharya was also the teacher of the Kauravas. So he was like that strong current in the waters. Then Karnena velakula, Karna is like those strong waters of the high tide. They will be very difficult to mount over. So here Karna, of course, is as good a warrior as Arjuna, right? Only thing was, unfortunately, Prarabdha was such for him that even though he would have been with the Pandavas, yet because they had the same mother, Kunti was their mother, but unfortunately he comes to know this only when they are now going to approach the battlefield. Of course, he had his own flaws, right? That we'll see some other time. But here he is the one who was a good warrior, right? And though he was trying to be very loyal with Duryodhana, he was being loyal in places or in positions where it was not required. It was the kind of wrong support that was being meted out to Duryodhana, and the result was also not that good, right? So one more thing over there is that though he was the opponent and Krishna was the charioteer of Arjuna, who was the other great competitor of Karna, right? And Karna had kept one special weapon to actually shoot at Arjuna. But what happened? Later, as we know, because of Krishna only, that particular arrow was shot at Ghatotkacha, and that saved Arjuna. But even as they were fighting, Krishna would always, if Karna would shoot the arrow and it would go in a particular way and the speed would be such, he would always applaud Karna. He would say, "Oh wow, what a hit, what a hit." So that would always deter Arjuna. He would say that, "Bhagwan, you are in my chariot. Why are you praising Karna?" And then Krishna would say that, if you see, there is Hanumanji also on top, and I am there, and both of us are seeing, and with both of us being in your chariot, yet we are flung only some 5 meters away with the force with which he is hitting the arrow. If both of us were not there, maybe you would be flung another 200 meters or 200 kilometers away in some cases. So here Bhagwan was always appreciative of the one who is doing his dharma in the right way. Okay, it was not that he was completely at odds with people, but he was on the side of those who were on the side of righteousness, or those who had sought his support, right? So it was not that he was completely against them, but the one who had sought his support, he had to be with them, right? So here in this verse, the main thing to be kept in mind is that Kaivartakaha Keshavaha, right? He, in the face of all challenges, who is the one who will be there to support us? It is that Lord Krishna alone. And how will he support us? He will say that I am with you. You have to do your duty as best as you can, and I will take care of the rest. So you might have formidable waters. You might have these. Might have Bhishma and Drona, you might have the Gandhar Naresha, you might have Shalya, you might have Karna, you might have Duryodhana, like whirlpool, directing the waters, directing the warriors in the way that he wants them to go, right? But yet, you have to fight the war in the best way possible, and I will be there with you to take care in the way that I can. Okay, so we'll stop here. And what does the blue lotus? So that blue lotus actually would give a wrong meaning here. It will give wrong meaning as in, he was not that beautiful, as in, that blue lotus is how that Nilotpala, right? When the sun is there, then that blue lotus comes about, right? It blooms, but it is not so. In case of Shakuni, we might not call it the blue lotus, but what we then have to take it as that blue stone, that seems to sparkle, but its sparkle is false. Its sparkle is only when there is light from outside. It is not actually that goodness that you are looking for. Okay, so that Nilotpala, we have to take it as a different meaning. You have to take it as that blue stone probably. Okay, shall we stop? Yeah. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. లోకా సమస్తా సుఖినో భవంతు. లోకా సమస్తా సుఖినో భవంతు.